So the teams are out for Wales against Argentina, the first quarter-final of the weekend, Saturday afternoon in Marseille. That's what we're previewing in this video. So let me know what you make of the two team selections and where is this game going to be won. Two sides that actually have a couple of similarities in terms of their strengths. There's some interesting bits of team selection to get into as well, so you can have your say in the comments section. Also, if you can like the video, that's an added bonus. But most of all, subscribe to the channel. Stay subscribed, help us hit 10,000 followers, and it means you don't miss out on any content ahead of the next couple of weeks, which are going to be awesome. But let's get into it. So let's kick things off with Wales. Not too many shocks in terms of their team selection. They had a few lingering injuries, although interestingly, actually, Warren Gatland said in his press conference that for this stage of the competition, they're pretty happy with where they are injury-wise. I think that is something that has been an issue for Wales in previous World Cups. I think back to 2015 in particular, and there were times where they were really having to chop and change and have some players out of position in their backline. So on the whole, they're in a good position. However, obviously, Taulupe Faletau, broken arm, he drops out. That means Aaron Wainwright goes to number 8, which is probably what most people expected. Jac Morgan has gone to blindside and Tommy Reffell comes in at open side. Dan Biggar starts, but there's no room for Gareth Anscombe. He's not part of the match day 23, so Sam Costello is on the bench. And Liam Williams is able to start at fullback. Took quite a bang to his knee in the match against Georgia, but he recovers and he is all right to start for Wales. So what do you make of that team? As I say, we knew that Faletau had dropped out and Wainwright would probably go to 8. The question really was what they did in that back row. And I wondered if they would go for a more traditional 6, a bigger body, a Tshiunza, for example, whether someone that could give them a bit more size, I suppose, in that back row. When you look at Argentina and the strengths that they have in their team, you look at that Argentinian pack, I just wondered whether they would have gone for size to match them physically or try and match them physically. They haven't in the end. They've gone for essentially 2 open sides. It's not the first time they've done it, and it's not the first time that Jac Morgan and Tommy Reffell have started together either. They did for certainly the under-20s. They both started together. And I think it means Wales are going hard at the breakdown. Morgan moving to 6 is interesting. A little bit harsh in a way. He's arguably been the best 7 in the tournament so far. And I know that I didn't put him in my team of the pool stage video because I was too busy making sure I tried to fit Ardie Surveyor and Gregory Aldrit in. So kind of having 2 number 8s essentially. But he has been outstanding, Jac Morgan. So he still will sort of provide the carrying that you often get with a 6 because he's been excellent with ball in hand. Plus you've got him and Reffell's ability over the ball. I think that is going to be such a hotly contested area, and that is going to be an area that Wales are looking to go pretty hard at. Also, Dan Biggar starting at fly half is crucial. I know we've seen Gareth Anscombe come in and play very well against Australia. We saw Costello do a good job coming in against Georgia, but I just think Dan Biggar, particularly for a game like this where you need experience, you need nous, you need someone who understands exactly the areas of the pitch that you need to get into in order to win the game. I just think he is absolutely pivotal for them. So I'm delighted to see him back in the back line. Liam Williams at fullback, obviously, if they deem him fit enough, was always going to start. I think the fact they've gone 5-3 maybe speaks to the fact that they need to have options to rejig the back line. I feel like if Williams, say, isn't okay or drops out a bit earlier in the game than they were anticipating, then it'll be Lewis Rees Zammit going to fullback, possibly Josh Adams, but I'd have thought Lewis Rees Zammit would go to fullback, which means you've got Rio Dyer as an option on the bench, and you need Costello on the bench as well, I'd imagine, with obviously have the injuries they've had at fly half as well. So outside of that, I wouldn't say there are too many surprises from a Welsh point of view. Wales fans, you can let me know what you made of it, but they're a side that have gone about their business very well. You actually look at Pool C, and it was a pretty competitive one in the end. Look at Fiji and how they performed. You look at Georgia, who are a team who can be dangerous. I know they'll be a bit disappointed with their showing in the end. Portugal surpassed everyone's expectations. So there weren't really any absolutely gimme games in that pool, which you can't say for some of the other pools, even though I know South Africa, Ireland and Scotland being in the same pool is ridiculous and an incredibly tough draw. That Pool C, actually, I think was across the board. The teams were quite even in a way, and Wales did really well. They came through 4 wins. Now can they get themselves to another semi-final? We shall wait and see. Let's get on to Argentina. This is the team they've gone for. Again, not kind of a huge amount of shocks from their point of view. One of the interesting things, I think, in the Argentinian preparations for the game is Michael Cheika's comments on them being the underdogs. The battle to have the underdog tag is something we see all the time in rugby. I think there are loads of teams that don't want to be the favourites. They're quite happy having the underdogs tag. That's definitely the case for Argentina. And after the pool stages, they are the underdogs. But I still have a sneaky suspicion that they are going to be a lot better this weekend than we've seen them so far. Just because you look at that squad, and it is a squad that won at Twickenham a year ago. They beat Australia in the Rugby Championship in Australia. Okay, I know the Wallabies clearly aren't great at the moment, but it was still away from home. They've beaten New Zealand away from home in recent memory as well. So, yeah, I have a fear for Wales that Argentina are going to turn up and Argentina are going to be a lot better than we've seen them be so far. Not saying it doesn't mean Wales can't win, but I think it will be a really, really tough game. And I also think from an Argentinian point of view, because they lost to England in their opening game, they've essentially been playing knockout rugby since that point. Because they lost the opening match, they knew they couldn't slip up from then on, and they haven't. But I just wonder whether they're quite battle-hardened because of that. Wales have had a little bit of, well, they had time off, but then also they knew that there was nothing really riding on their final pool game. All that sort of stuff can come into it in terms of the momentum in the tournament and mental fatigue, all that sort of stuff. But as I say, no huge shocks for Argentina. No Pablo Matera is going to be massive, I think. And Santiago Carreras at fly half. I mean, that's not a shock. He started 3 of the 4 pool games. But having said what I've just said about Dan Biggar, I think both teams are going to kick a lot. Marshalling your team into the right area of the field will be key. And it's not just down to the fly half, but that's probably a matchup that I'm quite intrigued in. And then across the rest of the team, I've mentioned some of the beefy forwards they've got in that pack who are very, very good. And we know some of the electricity they've got out wide on the wings as well. So a good Argentina side. In terms of this game, the driving maul is going to be massive for both teams. They've been 2 of the best sides so far in the World Cup when it comes to the driving maul, effectiveness from it, the amount of mauls they've looked to set up, which is why I think it's going to be a lot of kicking, a lot of territory, driving maul, that sort of game. I think this quarter-final will be an absolute arm wrestle. Who comes out in that area might be absolutely pivotal. But I'm looking forward to it. Let's hope it is a brilliant curtain raiser for 4 excellent, on paper at least, quarter-finals. I'll be honest, I'm going to go Argentina here. I think Wales are the favourites, understandably. They have been the more impressive team in the competition, but I think we could see a little bit of an upset, partly because of what I've spoken about already. Maybe I'm being foolish, and based upon the evidence we've got in front of us, Wales are favourites and will get the job done. But I just think Argentina are going to be better than we have seen them be so far. They've got experienced players in that team. Kind of hope I'm wrong, in all honesty, in terms of the home nations in this part of the world. I'd love to see Wales go through, but that's my gut instinct on what is going to happen. Do you agree with me? Do you disagree? Down below. That's where you can have your say on that one. And what else strikes you when you look at these 2 teams? I always pick out a couple of things that I find interesting or an area of the game that I think is going to be crucial, but there's loads more you could get into, so you can also have your say in the comment section on that as well. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and as always, I'll see you in the next one.